invite you already to take the places, and we please you to do it in the first. Zapraszamy do zajęcia miejsc w pierwszym rzędzie. Powoli zaczniemy już kolejne wystąpienie. Now we move into the realm of power, politics and superheroes. João Lins offers a new look at international relations. Could Batman be useful in the EU? Let's find out. João Marcos Justo Lins, a Brazilian international relations expert, graduate of the European and Global Studies program at the University of Padua and Jagiellonia University in Krakow. He is the creator of Café Diplomatico, where he explores the links between popular culture and international relations. Currently working with generative AI, João is not only a passionate analyst, but also an adventurer, always bringing energy, curiosity, and a global perspective wherever he goes. Welcome with the applause.
Thank you very much. I would like to first say thank you to the Academy, to Fausti, and it's a very nice opportunity, and I'm thankful for being here today. Well, I choose a more funny introduction, capes, conflicts, and diplomacy, because heroes, they are great with diplomacy, but when the politics doesn't work, they drop 9 tons of power and they solve the conflicts in a very powerful and peculiar way of solving things. So, the first question is it possible to have superheroes in international politics? And the answer is very brief and simple. Technically, no, because superheroes do not exist. But theoretically, yes, because they are ideas of the realm of human intelligence and literature. So literature can be used for means of politics. And how did it start for me to join superheroes with international relations? First time I ever said that, some of my classmates in the bachelor degree, they started laughing a bit about it. And it is funny to think about it, that many people see superheroes as a type of kids entertainment and animations and cartoons, and usually it is more than that. So the first thing was I had a presentation to join together postmodernism with any topic I could choose for university to this presentation of theory of international relations 3. But back then, and until now, I don't really know what postmodernism means, and it was a lack of many other theories. So I spent quite a few weeks trying to find out the topic, and I couldn't, until I saw that very own picture in the middle. It said postmodernist Avengers. And that got my curiosity. And I prepared a presentation to my class and to this subject in university with this topic. And also, after the presentation, I kept writing and studying about this, which led me to an article, a paper for the conclusion of bachelor degrees. There was an attempt of a bachelor thesis, my blog creation, and I rejected Master Triggs' proposal on the same topic. So, for the first presentation, I tried to tell my co-students and professor how could I link superheroes with international relations. How was it going to be influential and important? And now we'll bring a few elements of that first presentation to this one today as well. The first paper, I wrote the paper, but I lost the presentation because I got a date for this presentation and I couldn't be there on the day. So it became just a published paper, but I didn't get the chance to present it. The date was changed. And when I got to know it, I was in work. So I was like, okay, I cannot make up to the change date. So it was basically to introduce the influence and importance of superheroes in international relations. Which led to be this paper transformed into a magazine publication, all in Portuguese, so I couldn't translate it all. But it was to mean that, imagine, when I ask you superhero, what is the first thing that can come to your mind?
Superpowers.
Exactly, superpowers, and I suppose a good way to solve a problem. And the superheroes, they come with us from a very young age until we are like, I'm bored of this, I don't want it anymore. So it is a kind of a realm for the human desire to be more than human. We have this superhuman desire. All the things we cannot realize in a human plane, we desire to have it on superheroes. A question, who here have imagined that they could fly someday? Here. Or run super fast to a meeting that you're late. Or read somebody's thought that you cannot really comprehend what he's thinking. So every time we see a superhero, it's this psychological and human behavior of trying to be more than we are. And after this magazine was released, it was an internal magazine to the community of the university, but also to the whole city. When it was released, I bothered some professors to put it there. I had to shrink the paper from 14 pages to 2, and still contain the same message I wanted to convey, but I made it. And when it was published, some of the friends and people around who laughed about the topic not being serious enough, they started to read and comprehend that, okay, maybe what's in the pages of comic books can influence our behavior, and so further on, the way we interact with society and politics. In an indirect way, but it can. And then I proceeded to trying to do the bachelor's thesis on analyzing the superheroes' speeches and comparing them to speeches of presidents. And the first one I took was one speech of Captain America, that is right there if you want to read. It's a very intense speech, and I tried to link it with Roosevelt's speech. Although, unfortunately, the bachelors on my university changed the rules. So instead of writing on my own, I had to write with 2 other companions. And 2 other companions didn't get my idea. I don't want to present that. And we ended up presenting something about economics, finances, and terrorism. What is the correlation of those 3? And I had to drop this idea back. I even forgot about it, and I remembered this week when I was looking on papers to this presentation. So, in the last year of university, I was a bit frustrated that I maybe would not find a job in international relations, and all those problems that remind of a 20 years old trying to change things around and trying to make something more fun to study came up to become an idea of a blog. So in the random night of February, at around midnight, I was drinking coffee, maybe trying to cry or not to cry, and I was like, what can I do to change this situation? I'm gonna start a blog. And it took 15 minutes to create this logo, and I still love it till today. And the first article who came up on this blog was about Superman the Return. It's a movie that people hated, but in essence, that movie showed me the message of what is Superman in reality. It's the figure of Christ. You know, the hope, all of the pure and loving humanity. And in the end of Superman the Return, there was a very strong message that kept up for me still, that is soon the Father becomes the Son, and the Son becomes the Father. And that was exactly this sentence that made me write the first article, what is the importance of Superman in international relations, trying to make a new scene of Jesus and spread it through a comic book to children. So it was like 2 paragraphs that put me on the start to make the blog, and now that I have articles about Aquaman and the international law of the seas, Hunger Games and theory of games, and so many others like Malthusian theories and the Avengers, and so on. So, I have a question. What is a hero to you?
Why do you ask what? Why don't you ask who?
Because the hero is an idea. Heroes nowadays they play a role that the mythology played before in our human lives. Mythology, you had Zeus, Poseidon, Hades, and all of those Greek gods to try to explain something human mind could not explain yet. So the thunder fall, and I'm like, there is no explanation for this, it's Zeus. So it gave us some answers to questions we couldn't answer before. But as society evolves, we need something better than mythology to explain some other things. Humans want to fly. How can I show them that it's possible? Superman. They want to be fast. It's a new way to believe in other things that mythology helped us to believe. In the comics, we have it divided by Golden Age, Silver Age, and Copper Age. The Golden Age are those superheroes that they are still resemblances of God. As you can see in the picture of Justice League, they very much represent what the Greek gods represented. And when you go to the Silver Age, it's because humans were already getting bored with the idea that, how can I relate to Superman if he is an alien, super strong, doesn't have problems, have super strength, and it's not tangible. I cannot correlate to something that is higher than me. And then you start having the Silver Age heroes. Batman is a normal human being, he's just smart, trains hard. Spider-Man is a kid. So you have the Silver Age trying to catch up to what a human reality really is and leaving a bit of the mythology behind. So they give them human problems, real problems. Then you have the Copper Age, where heroes can have depression, where heroes can have financial problems, and it's easier to correlate with them than to correlate with a strong and omnipotent God. And, this is still in Portuguese. So, the definition of a hero is the person who dedicates to fight for a noble cause. He is capable of unforeseen strength, intelligence, and a very kind of moral ethic conduct with superhuman characteristics like flying, superpower, physical powers. They have abilities with animals and a very incorruptible conduct. And they always fight for liberty, fraternity, justice, courage. They are willing to sacrifice, loyal, and guided with motivations that are always just and fair for the whole society. So, I think I already did this question. I jumped the horses. But, wait, yes. Whenever I ask around, what comes to your mind after you hear superheroes? The answers would include Superman, Captain America, Spider-Man, Batman, Wonder Woman. And just by looking at those 4 ones I said, they have the American colors in their uniform. So they convene a message. And those messages in international relations, they are very important for the soft power. Is when you conduct your power and expertise in other cultures without the use of the force, but with the use of knowledge. So, to put you a bit in the context of what is working in my mind when I talk about superheroes and politics, I have a short video, 5 minutes, and then we're going to proceed more to other questions. I hope you like this song.
Heroes show us we don't need to be perfect to do what's right. It's not about living without fear, but facing injustice. It's not about being powerful, but finding your calling when you least expect it. Both show us it's okay to be vulnerable, no matter how tough you are. Because even though they're heroes, they're still human.
And that's basically the video I also showed to my class. And now it's the question, how do you feel now after this video? Anybody?
Empowered.
Yes, more.
Inspired.
Inspired. Hopeful, would it be?
Yeah.
Happy.
Happy. So whenever we have our emotions attached to an idea, they spread faster, they stay, they keep in a place that you cannot take it away from. And I have another question. Did you notice the USA's flags in key moments of the video? So in most of superhero movies, on the climax, when the hero is about to get out from a dark spot to win the fight, you can easily notice the American flag, the spark of the American way of life, the culture, and everything America stands for, with the brilliant flag in the back. Also in their speeches, and the way they portray, the way they stand to fight, but that moment there, it's caught by our subconscious, and we legitimate that idea. And that's how it influences us to like them. And again, what are the colors that you see most in our superheroes' uniforms? The flags. Nowadays it's changing a bit because you have more plurality of superheroes, and they are having different colors, different backgrounds. The last movie that came out last week, Thunderbolts, the main villain is just a person who's trying to deal with depression and with some bad choices in life and handling the same power as Superman. They gave him in an experiment all the powers, but he's broken inside and he doesn't know how to handle this. The topics, they are getting more and more close to human beings. And the soft power is the main use of the mass culture to bring together those ideas and sell it to you. Not only ideas of how to behave, but ideas on how to solve problems. If you come to a kid and says, I have a problem, can you solve it for me? There is a 90% chance that he's going to be, I can do it. Unconsciously, we have this way of solving things as the superheroes does, with the first aggression, because it's the most charming things to the cinematic media, but also with the diplomacy, the resilience. One of the quotes of Spider-Man that stays too long with me is that I will fall 20 times and I'll stand up 11, no matter how hard it is. And those mindsets, they shape humans. And who creates international relations? Humans. So, moving ahead, the first presentation I told you about was with this sentence that I started thinking about all of this and how this affects me, first because I am a real fan of superheroes, as you can see I was even dancing, but it's good to know how things you love can alienate you and how you have to think about them. I had a teacher in 2012 that brought us to the cinema, the whole school, 800 kids. I don't know how she managed that, to watch Batman. And in the end of the movie, she asked us a homework. And I brought her that the thing I learned the most about Batman was to have fear. To fear something, that fear motivates us. And she had a very exclusive talk with me that you got what I wanted from the movie. Not a summary of what happened, because I watched the movie as well, but what is the message it conceives? Many people watch entertainment, but they don't think over entertainment. And there is this sentence of Robert Cox, a famous theoretical of critical thinking, a Canadian, that he explicitly says that theory is always for someone and for some purposes. So comic books are not written by children. Movies are not made by children. So there is a message it wants to convey other than pure fight and special effects and superpowers. There is in every movie an idea of someone and translating a message in the most fast way for your brain to capture it without you even realizing that. And with this sentence, I created my whole way of thinking about the things I liked the most. And I was like, okay, I love international relations, but sometimes it is a bit boring with all the politics and economy. It's hard to follow. Can I not make it with a subject that I like? And that's what I got. So, in superheroes you can have cultural representations in different groups. The Black Panther was a movie that was amazing, got many Oscars, and it shows representativity of different types of superhero that had before. Wonder Woman was also a movie that showed kids that they can identify with a hero that looks like them. You have the communication and interaction. Whenever a superhero gives a speech, like the ones of Captain America, you get like, wow, I want to fight too. You can have a political identity. On the context I said, like a superhero can represent America, Black Panther can represent the African countries. You can have Batman representing the rich people and the people who have no power. And the impact on the children, as I've been saying, is the thing that it's more feasible to study, because children, they are white canvases. So the ideas you put on them when they're young, they're going to preserve it till the end of their lives. And diversity and inclusion. Comic books, they are more like the narratives, they are stronger than the cartoons. And that's why still nowadays we think that superheroes are not that serious because of the animations. They have toned down for kids. But whenever you go into games and the comic books, you have this. This is the first Captain America comic book. And he is hitting who in that picture? Hitler. He's getting Hitler thrown down. The comic inside has nothing to do with it, but this is an iconic cover that brought young people to join the military. And it was a very successful campaign, and nowadays it's still one of the most beautiful comic books cover. And you also have way more different. Obama, when he was first elected, he got honorary cover for Spider-Man. There are those ones waving the flags. The X-Men is one of the comic books that brings more social injustice against the minorities, but also humans versus superheroes. Like the hatred against mutants, as you can see in the evolution is not the will of God. And you have those two classes confronting each other, powers versus no powers. The Wonder Woman for president, Superman the Red Sun is a very good comic book. I suggest if you want to read it, it's super intense, and it also portrays what if United States didn't win the war, but USSR. So if we had a USSR Superman, how would it go? How could things go? So it is a very dense political comic, and I had way more covers to put in here, but I had to choose a few ones. And it brings us to the final topic in my lineage of achievements, which was my proposal of a master thesis, trying to compare the European Union with the Avengers. And now I ask again, do you see it happening? Is it feasible? In my university they said it was not serious enough and I had to drop the topic. But coming back to what I said about the comic books, Golden Age, Silver Age, and Copper Age, there was a time that superhero stories were getting boring. People were not buying more comics. And what do they have to do? In the Copper Age, they realized that what if we integrate heroes together? And the first group of Avengers were only 4 heroes together. And it started selling because the narratives became better, it became more amusing to see more heroes and more villains at the same time. And it was also a moment in time of history that countries was also using regional integration together. So it was both for heroes and for the countries to have this integrational process in the pages and in the daily lives. So when you see comic books, heroes that are strong enough getting together to become stronger, you also start to legitimate that countries can get together to get stronger, and the other way around. So the thesis proposal was mainly this, to find what are the resemblances and divergences of the European Union with the Avengers, and how they can reflect the framework of international politics. And of course, it's not physical. I cannot have all the superheroes in here like a laboratory getting all my chemicals and mixing them together to see what is the reaction, because it is purely theoretical. So I have to be a bit imaginative when it comes to this. But the European Union has a charter? I always don't know how to pronounce this word correctly. Charter. And the Avengers so as well. And I have a link in here. If you want to read it, it's a bit extensive. But it matches with the proposals of the European Union. And in the comic book of 1982, you have this charter in a shorter length, published in the comic, with all the values that the Avengers have to hold, how do they select their counterparts, how they respond to the US government, and all of the codes and morals and conducts that they have to behave in order to be acting as a group. And further on, you have, this is the first article, it's a lot, but you have on the article of how they can be organized, and choosing members, how do they go in, do they go out, the jurisdiction where they can act as a group, the founding and operations. And as the comics go on, you have a charter for the United Nations to the Avengers. So that's the one who gets more extensive. And it has 7 sections and includes their organization, jurisdiction, founding, operations, the bylaws that they cannot surpass. They have to wait for the military to get some villains to detention. The policy and the membership, who can join, who cannot join. If they don't respect the values of United States or the Avengers, they cannot be part of the team. The reserve and inactive members, when they get old, how they're going to be treated. The disciplinary actions toward a superhero that doesn't follow the laws. And you have, in the comics, the Civil War, when this US trying to impose a law for the heroes to serve in the military. Iron Man chooses to serve and to enlist all the superhumans, and Captain America decides not, because it would put in danger their families and what they stand for, and then you create this internal war with the heroes, based on also disagreement. You have articles about how they are going to meet, what they are going to meet, and how to treat the sensitive topics. The punishment of criminals, affiliation, security, and discorporation. So it is not as extensive as the United Nations one, but it is an article that can be compared. So you have a more serious way to analyze and make the comparison of the European Union and the group of Avengers. And furthermore, just for visualization, you could see Iron Man, very economical, technological. You could put it as Germany, as for a matter of fact now just highlighting a few ideas that comes to brain. Ant-Man, he's small, but he also can be powerful, can be the Vatican City. You have Captain America, who can be the core and the center of morality of European Union. We can put France in this role, and other heroes that we could try to match them with the countries. And that was the idea. And how does it look in numbers? When we go to academic papers, they want numbers to be serious. So the amount of money they make with movies, it surpasses billions and trillions. It's not compared to countries because the budget is higher, but then you have the selling of comic books, teammate parks, merchandises, gamings, animations, and $1 billion of flows and works and labor to fulfill. And the most important of it is the consumption of ways of life, the morals, principles, and values that are written on those pages, and that you can debate and use it when you dress a uniform. Furthermore, it's just a quick parallel, going back to the mythology, that the Justice League also had some inspiration in the League of Nations. At the same time the League of Nations were being created after World War I, you had the Super Friends and Justice League, but the League of Nations didn't quite succeed, somehow in brackets. The idea lived on, but the League of Nations didn't. And then you have an adapting, because you had Justice League of the Justice Society of America, which was the golden age superheroes. And then when League of Nations adapted to the United Nations, you have also in the comics, oh, let's create it anew. And you have the Justice League as a parallel of time-wise. So that's not a conclusion, because some of those articles I didn't get to finish. It's just more of curiosity and excitement for also you to create your own ideas. If you want to finish them with me, it would be also a pleasure. If you have any questions for me, or you want to have one of those documents that I quoted there, you have my Instagram, email, the coffee blog, so you can access all the other articles I talked about, and I'm open to your questions. Thank you. No questions? It was good. Yes. So thank you for all for your attention. Oh, there is.
I have a question. With the superheroes and so on and so forth, it is all with their own strengths that they do things, and they will inspire perhaps kids or adults and so on also to do as well as they can. But the danger is then also, I think, I'm asking, is there not a danger that because you are not this superhero that you really want to be and so on and so forth, that you get completely frustrated because you get it because on human strength alone, we cannot do those things. So, of course, we can think we need the grace of God and things like that, we can cooperate. But I mean, this is something when you see those superheroes and you see how it inspires especially children, I think, but also politics, as you said, there can be a danger that it is humanly speaking, with human strength, you can attain those things. Don't you think that there's a, just your response to this?
I have a good way to answer this. In all the movies of Captain America, he was represented as someone incorruptible, that he would always find what's right and he would struggle and stand because he was the best of us as a human before the serum. And in 2021 there was another series called The Falcon and Winter Soldier, and they give the serum to a soldier who's not Steve Rogers, he's not perfect. So this soldier, he wants to do what's good, but in his own concept, and he ends up doing things that are not that good. Then you have this clash of values. Okay, I cannot look up for a God, that is the first Captain America, very strong morals and principles, but what if my principles are wrong? So now the media is evolving to also those aspects that people, okay, I can really inspire myself into a superhero that is a God, like in the beginning, but it will fade away when I start to be more serious about the thought, about reality that I can touch. Mm-hmm. But when you get more heroes that can correlate to your life, that maybe you have only one capability and you do that one good, or maybe you have 10 and you're not doing, like you explained in your thesis before. It shows us how can we, the outcomes of what can be done and what is the moral, the goal line. It is an important question, but it's also what do you do with the capabilities you have?
That I think is great, but then imagine if what you think is good is not good. There is a problem.
Exactly. So.
Yeah, but okay, it's the influence, yeah, but okay, it is the influence of heroes, superheroes, and I think it's very interesting to present.
It's like when we talk about magic, and you have light magic and dark magic, but none of them exist. It only exists the one who's using this magic. So the way they are using those power is the way that they influence our moral and conduct and how we are expected to live. Mm-hmm. But of course we can fail, because in the end of all we are humans. And it's really nice that nowadays they are also making movies where the heroes, they fail and they all do not achieve the ending goal, and that is more even relating to a human condition of not being able to have everything perfect than in the comics of Greek gods that we cannot achieve that. Yeah. So it's more of a scenario of elaborating on what life can be and see the outcomes before having a trial.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I just wanted to commend you first of all, because that was a very good presentation and a very good idea.
Thank you.
When you mentioned soft power, because I want to try and ask the question based on the context of international relations, which is what you're mentioning. So you mentioned very well, when you speak about Marvel, DC, and the entire framework they have built, it speaks a lot about American soft power, like you said, because they basically fill the entire space of politics. But do you have any advice for other continents and other countries and how they can work on building their own native comic book heroes, so they can also build their own soft power? The reason I ask, because like you, I basically grew up on these comic books, and I love Superman and all the rest, but deep down in my mind, I'm always clear and understand that there are going to be some values that I will never quite relate to because they speak about American culture. But I come from an East African country, and just like I said, growing up, I always wanted to see my own Kenyan superhero, but for various reasons, people just they don't put in the same effort, right? And going forward, we can speak about how Asia is actually a further ahead of us. When you go to China, and I've been noticing this in the last few years, they have been putting a lot of effort into creating their own base of superheroes, but with a strong link to their mythology, right? So they speak about, they go back to the tradition, and then you come up with someone. I think 2 years ago there was a comic book movie made about the Monkey King, if I remember correctly, basically trying to put in their own ideas. But now with continents like, well, okay, South American region, Africa, we're sort of caught in the middle between the fight with, let's say, China and America. So would you have advice basically on how we can build our own comic book cultures? Then, secondly, so the focus is on international relations. For myself, it's more about morals, you would say, the ethics part of it. Have you ever felt a certain, how do you put it, maybe discomfort or disconnect, because you mentioned golden age, silver age, copper age, and you very well said that today there's a lot more focus on making stories about heroes who fail and they have trouble, they have conflicts. But I've been fearing that with what we call superhero fatigue, right? There have been so many movies and people are starting to get a little bit tired of them. So there are two problems I can say. On one hand, the content that is being put out there is a little bit more depressing. It creates not really a hero, properly speaking, but it's more praising the anti-hero. For instance, people like Deadpool and the rest, people who are willing to compromise their values for the sake of getting the job done, which I fear is sending the wrong moral message. And then on the other hand, the superhero fatigue, people get to that point where they're tired now about going to chase comic book heroes. Then what happens to the soft power you're speaking about? Do you see a point in the near future where America, for various other political reasons, is already a bit, its image is crumbling, but now at the same time, the Marvel and the DC studios are almost at their lowest point as well. So have you been able to affect, has that affected the soft part or something?
Okay, let's go by parts. On the advices to build a comic book culture, I don't have that much, but I share the same feeling as you. When I was writing those, I wanted to create a superhero that was Brazilian, because the ones that are there, they do not really represent Brazil. I even tried, made some sketches, but still, you have to get your community to like it first, and then it has to be a very good context and a narrative. It's a job of like many years and many people involved. And the Marvel fatigue you're talking about, they are trying to make other, or the teams, there is a team of Asian superheroes, there is I forgot their names now, but it's a team of Canadian superheroes, and they're trying to fill those gaps, but from their perspective. And it takes a while. The fatigue is gonna be like, just like mythology. One day or another we're gonna stop believing that Zeus is on the lightning. They can become obsolete. They still represent something, but they are not going to be as soft power as they were before. And I think there is no much that we can do about it, but then if you have a fatigue, they stop being produced, and then somehow, a few years later, somebody produces another hero that sparks flames again. It can continue, it's a cycle. And I think I forgot one of the questions now.
Yeah, I guess.
But it sums up a bit, right? So, yeah.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I think everybody agree with me that it was super interesting and I felt kind of a superhero. And it's amazing that we don't need to fly to be a superhero, that everyone of us has their own, and we can share with our small world, with our family and friends. So thank you very much, big applause again. And now it will be 10 minutes break, and later one panelist in Polish will tell us more about the dance.